The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. It's another edition of The Big Issue. And as usual, I am your regular host, George Agba, and with me here in the studio, our in-house analyst. And of course, we have Chibuzo Kaibe.
Thank you.
And of course, the very vibrant political commentator, Paul Abu.
It's good to be here, George.
Well, without taking much of your time, the big issue for the day is the kaleidoscope of the most intense electioneering campaigns we have witnessed so far. And of course, this is coming within the backdrop of the fact that the candidates and their political parties are proceeding on Christmas and New Year break. But what we are trying to interrogate now is how far have the candidates fared on issue-based campaign, and their manifestos, have they been able to meet the expectations of Nigeria? Well, we all know that Nigerians and trust in their politicians seems to decline with every political election since 1999. An extreme trust deficit hovers over Nigerian politicians because the public hardly believes in the campaign promises or even the commitment made by these politicians. And of course, this trust deficit is linked to the fact that there is no mechanism of political accountability in the country. The major political parties and their presidential candidates have been campaigning, and of recent, just yesterday, we had the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in Cross River State. And in Katsina was Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, who pulled enormous mammoth crowd in the home state of President Muhammadu Buhari, thus raising suspicion that the popularity of the PDP spans even within the strongholds of the president and his party, the governing APC. And we had the Labour Party candidate, Peter Obi, who was talking about giving reasons why he attends churches. But well, be that as it may, we have seen a lot in the past few days. And in the process, we've been seeing the campaign coupled with more gaffes. But let's see what Paul has to say about the campaign so far, especially the PDP. The PDP candidate has been grappling with the internal wrangling involving him and the G5 governors. And then he has been able to break the odds by proceeding with his campaign despite all this. But how would you say he has fared so far in his campaigns despite the crisis within the party?
I think, Joe, thanks a lot. It's been a while. It's good to see you. So far, so good. The campaign by the candidates of the People's Democratic Party has been fairly okay. I think he decided to dwell his campaigns on issues as against attacks on his rivals. I think that is good, in spite of the unfortunate development in the party, especially as it concerns the issues of the grievances raised by the 5 governors led by Nyesom Wike. I think the Atiku camp, Atiku generally believes that he has done his best within the ambit of the law, and he does not want any constitutional crisis to arise at this very critical time. He believes that these young lads, of course, he's older than all of them, will naturally see things and fall in place. and hence they have to move on to this campaign. And if you notice, recently, things seem to be shaping up a little bit for the PDP, especially from the angle of from the side of the G5. If you look at them in recent time, they choose their words critically. They choose their words now as against when there were these unguided comments by some of these governors. I think they are beginning to see the reality that we can't uh, we can't be fighting ourselves. We are brothers. Yes, in politics there are, of course, there are differences, and it's all about interest. This internal interest will be there, even in advanced clients. You see, find such in the UK, the Labour and Conservative Party, they have their own internal squabbles that they try to deal with. In the US, the same thing. Even in South Africa here, recently you saw what the issues raised by the former president, because Zuma against the incumbent president. He didn't just got the leadership position on the platter of gold. So this internal squabble is part of democracy, and I believe that the issues in the PDP will be resolved maturely by the gentleman. As for the article campaign, well, he, he, he has shown that look, the PDP, like what happened in Kasina, what we saw in Kasina, it has shown that the PDP is not just an opposition party heading for oblivion. It shows that look, Nigerians are still in touch with the PDP as a credible alternative to the APC. And the gentleman has been able to largely center his campaign on issues of the economy, security, etc., and which is good, not on verbal attacks on opposition. But Nigerians are not interested in that one. Nigerians want solutions to issues affecting them. I think the PDP has not done badly, and Atiku itself has not done badly. He has been able to honor town hall meetings invitation. He has been able to meet the business community and other groups. I think that is what democracy entails, and which is good.
Thank you very much, Paul. I think we'll come back to that. But first, let's just see what Chibuzo will have to say on the performance so far in this campaign. And you see, in the process, we have been seeing a lot of attack and counter attacks. And the whole thing now will border on ad hominem attacks to the human person instead of the issues on ground. Just saying where sometimes they even leave the main issues. We're talking about their identity, their credibility, and all that. And of course, can we say this is what would have been expected? Because unlike in previous campaigns, Nigerians were hoping that this something would be come out different. Because at this point in time, politicians ought to have realized that the confidence in them have waned over the years, because it has always been this same old story. We've heard much of personal attacks than what is in the manifesto. Can we say this is an improvement in our nascent democracy today?
Thank you. When you say nascent democracy, you know, well, nascent, yes, but if we keep doing the nascent thing, I don't think we are ever going to get out of, because clearly we have by now ought to have made much better progress with our democratic, sojourn. But looking at what we have now with the candidates, and like your question suggests that they've been engaging more in mudslinging than paying much attention to the issues of the day. For all I know, it could have been worse. If not that, the media at some point had to step up, its game and started asking real questions of them, for them to really tell how they intend to do the things they want to do. Nigerians are clearly aware of what the issues are. I don't think there's any set of new issues they are going to bring to the table that that the average Nigerian is not aware of. And I don't think it has significantly changed since 2015. The issues are still what they are. Question of corruption, question of job. In fact, if anything, it even got worse. But these key things remain the fundamentals. So it took the media to step up its game and demanded more questions, more answers rather, from the aspirants, from the candidates rather. So we saw at some point a focus on their manifesto and the things they want to do at some point. But it does appear as if the personal attacks will not go away, and I don't expect that they will go away, because in this election too is a question of character, a question of your history, the question of your past. So these things are naturally going to be a part of the electoral process, because people want to interrogate who this person really is. There's a popular saying that if you want to, the day you join politics, be prepared to be told how your great grandfather met your great grandmother. You might even get to hear a history of yourself you never knew existed. So this is all part of the politics of it. But I think the balancing of mudslinging and discussing the issues, I think I agree with you to some extent. It still weighs more on the personal attacks than on sufficiently giving us an idea of how they intend to solve the problems they themselves have identified. So we'll continually appeal that they continue to focus on the issues and give much more clear solutions to the critical issues, and also appeal to all of the candidates to make themselves available. The debates will be coming up soon. We want to have real robust debates. Let us have much more of that, so that we hear, because for some time now the APC candidate has been tactically keeping himself away from.
Has been dodgy.
You understand?
It's sneaky over the
well, they will give a reason for why that notion should not be taken. But when a pattern plays out over and over again, it would seem as if there's a scheme in place to ensure that he's never around when such things happen. So I think going forward, those are the few things we would like to see.
Thank you very much, Chibuzo. Well, we actually would like to take a very short break, do some announcement and some awareness of ourselves. The Leadership Podcast Studio, the last one, Postcard Studio. And of course, as we do so, we hope that our viewers will begin to think of contributing constructively to the conversation on the big issue. And of course, we hope that by the time we come, they would have flooded us with their comments, which will actually read out for the public to know how they feel about the issue of the day. Don't go offline, we'll be back in a moment.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is 2023 and the kaleidoscope of the most intense electioneering campaigns. Well, and of course, we're beginning to see some of our viewers commenting on what they think. We have Bob Thompson there. Bob Thompson is saying it is one thing to present magnitude of manifestos, but it's another thing for implications to be done. I think what he's trying to say there is that it's not about the talk, it's not about presentation. That is what most Nigerians have said. That politicians have failed to keep to their many promises over time. You understand? The critical look of the campaign promises since 1979 elections revealed that the themes and promises are the same. Food sufficiency, insecurity, electricity, pipeline water, corruption. And I think that's what he said. It is one thing to say them, and then the other one, the implication of what you say, and implementing. I think that is what Thompson was actually trying to say. But be that as it may, Chubus or even raise an issue that you will even add to what see what Thompson has said there. He said some candidates should present themselves for some of these debates. And of course, if you look, the only dodgy one here is the APC presidential candidate. Anytime there's always such kind of platform for the candidates to talk, they will either Nicodemously sneak out of the country for their own engagement, and they always come to coincide with all these people. But Tinubu has said, look, he's not really out for that kind of style. His own style is to engage stakeholders directly, talk to them instead of beginning to run lock horns with his fellow presidential candidates in debate. That is not what it means. The interactive sessions with those directly involved and those that his governance, his administration will directly impact. And he has done this, appearing in town hall meetings. You see him, he was Katsina, he was in Nasarawa, he got to Niger State, and whenever he goes, you see him meeting. I think on Monday, he was at Chida Hotel here with organized labor. So, what do you think? Do you think that what he does is just being sneaky to avoid the campaigns, or is he not doing well his own style of campaign?
Well, I think that is the strategy by his minders. For me, it's not good for 21st century democracy because it does not inspire confidence. Leaders are expected to inspire confidence of their followers or the people they lead. When you begin to dodge questions, you dodge public engagement that will make you interface with the electorate. It does not inspire confidence. Investors are looking at us. What kind of leader are we trying to elect? What kind of leader is that? So and this outsourcing of questions, of answers to minders, it's not good for 21st century democracy. We are in a competitive world. We're in a competitive world. And the same Ahmed Bola Tinubu enjoyed a lot of oxygen from the media when he was governor of Lagos State. Why is the situation now different? Now that you want to lead Nigeria's 36 states plus the Federal Capital Territory, plus our overseas territories, which is an extension of the Nigerian states. Nigeria is one of Africa's most influential nation. We have a lot of influence. We are the centerpiece of Africa's democracy. Yes, we are the largest. We are somehow a superpower. We shouldn't look weak. We shouldn't appear weak with the sort of leaders we put forward. And that is my challenge with the Bola Ahmed Tinubu strategy. You are being dodgy. It shows that there's something. There are some lapses you are trying to hide. And in the Chinese, there is this popular saying by the Chinese that you cannot carve a rotten wood. George, that is the truth. You want you. It's not stakeholders. It's not a few stakeholders that will elect you. It is the generality of the registered voters in Nigeria, over 90 million. Talk to them. Talk to them. Why are you running away? They try to give advanced reasons, but they are not cogent. They are not convincing. They are not convincing. It shows that, look, these people tend to see Nigeria that, look, you guys are inconsequential. The projection has been made. I will win the election because I am from the governing party. But you should also remember that, look, Nigerians are learning year in, year out. And as the time goes by, they learn. They look what's happening in Ekiti, and Osun should teach politicians lesson. That, look, you don't take the people for granted. In the case of Ekiti State, Ayofashe thought he is the owner of Ekiti State. But the Ekiti people told him that, look, this state belongs to us. Power is in our hand. We choose whoever we want to give the power to. By our votes. The same thing happened in Osun State. To some people, it was a shocker. But that is a reflection of democracy. Popular will of the people. So you don't take Nigerians for granted. So that is the point I'm trying to make. The minders of APC should look at these things and talk to themselves. Make yourself available for conversation.
Well, thank you, Paul. I think whatever medium Tinubu employs to do his campaign does not really matter anyway, since he has actually opted for town hall meetings where he will be meeting stakeholders and not the type that he will come face to face with his
read prepared speech. Prepared speech. You read it. Just go and read it.
Oh, well, most times
You've also seen the controversy of him delegating answers to
outsourcing
but he has tried as much as possible to explain himself. And in the process, he had told you that a town hall meeting
this
is different from all the banner blues and the rest.
This is not
whatever he means.
Even smaller African
I think the medium, man.
This is not Comoros, the island. This is not Mauritius.
The medium.
This is not Reunion. Small. We are talking about the Federal Republic of Nigeria with a population of over 200 million. The registered voter in Nigeria is bigger than the population of Ethiopia.
Well, I thank you, Paul. I think you see, there's one salient point Paul raised about it when the APC presidential candidate. And I think that was it in Chatham House or where he started delegating questions to
outsourcing. Don't use the word delegate.
Outsourcing questions to the members in his delegation. And most Nigerians have come to, while there have been criticism, especially from people like Paul, who doesn't see that as reasonable. There are some Nigerians who say that shows that the man will be running an all-inclusive government, a government that will carry everybody along, and a government that will not just be autocratic. It's a government that you delegate responsibilities, allow people you entrust with appointments, ministers, and the rest. Of course, they say he showed that. Yes, some of the people Tinubu is even planning to bring into his cabinet. And that is even the reason why some of them felt that method of saying, okay, Elrufai, answer this question on insecurity. You answer this way. Was that really a way of dodging questions, or just like Paul said?
Like you said, he will always give his reasons for why he decided to go that way. But I'm sure you saw the skit by Mr. Macaroni that came out shortly after the Chatham House thing, where he was mimicking, what Tinubu did at Chatham House, where he had to call some people to answer questions
for him.
Somebody who is being employed, who is being interviewed for a job, and you are delegating same questions you ought to answer to other people to answer on your behalf. Well, if he says those who argue that what Tinubu did was a way of showing a sense of inclusivity, if he gets into office, they should vote for him to get into the office first. That he was asking people to answer questions on his behalf.
On his behalf.
Does not clearly indicate that he's going to run an inclusive government. It's a different ballgame altogether. You are being asked clear, precise questions. You answer them. Inclusive government does not show by you asking people to answer questions on your behalf.
Directed at you.
You are not president yet. You're not president yet. So that's why the questions are directed at you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Not passing it to others to answer on your behalf. So I don't see the rationale in that explanation. It just smacks of trying to play a quick one on Nigerians. Yeah, what is clear is clear. The person who wants the job should answer questions directed at him on how he wants to solve the problems. It's unfortunate that in this part of in Nigeria, what we've had so far, most candidates just layer themselves up with spokespersons. In other climes, you see how they do their campaigns. The main man, the person who wants the job, is the one talking part-time to Americans. He's the one constantly telling them what he wants to do and how he's going to do it. And he's saying, these are the things I'm saying, and I want to be held responsible for the
That
things
was
I'm
when
saying.
campaign became more of entertainment, when we had the likes of Obama during the
So,
campaign.
it was as bad as controversial as Trump was. He was also the one speaking for himself.
Of course.
And that is how we should be.
We should
Everywhere
lead,
we go,
we
that is
should
how it
lead
should be.
Africa. We should lead Africa in campaign, election, in campaigns. Not this backyard kind of. It's archaic. It's primitive. It's uninspiring. It's uninspiring.
Well, let's look at the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. It had not been so too well for him of recent. Just yesterday, his spokesman, Doyin Okupe, resigned following his conviction by a court that sentenced him to 2 years imprisonment over money laundering. And of course, he escaped being in prison by now. I think by now he would have been in Kirikiri or Kuje prison, now cooling his heels. I think by now he would have even been handed over the prison uniform, sitting down with prisoners.
While he appeals.
It's just that the law now provides for the fact that you must pay a fine, an option of fine, which he quickly brought out 13 million naira to pay and free himself. And that means with that conviction, he has become a convict. He cannot vie for any political office
Until otherwise.
Yes, and Obi said that judgment was targeted at frustrating his campaign. I think, Paul, you would address that. Let's know how true that can be. And Obi actually he explained why he always takes his own campaign to church, and he had depended so much on going to church that it now became an issue. And the obedience are always there in the social media, creating. If you see the most creative people in the country, they're the obedient. They can create anything. Watch out some of the videos.
And
you will see.
Judge, it's unfortunate that the man Peter Obi didn't do a proper background check on his campaign DG. When you have a man who has a case in court, you should know that case must surely come to an end. And there must be judgment, no matter how long. So regardless of the time, some people want to relate it to his campaign. There was a case instituted in court long before Peter Obi declared his interest. So I don't want to align with that school of thought. I blame him for not being due diligent
to look at the credibility of who he will.
Or look at the credibility.
He will engage as his image maker.
As his image maker, he's a DG. The Director General is not a small person. He's a principal officer in the campaign council of the Labour Party. So he didn't do his work well, and it's a stain on him that with all this Mr. Integrity team, you have somebody who has
questionable character.
So it's of questionable character. He has a date with the court, with justice. So justice has been served. So it's left for him to appeal. Let him go appeal. If he wins and if the EFCC decide to also push the case to the Supreme Court, let the court sort it out. For going to church,
Yes, that one me, I
you
will
know,
even argue
you know,
against
in
those
those,
who are criticizing is going to church. Because as Obi said, he said, Nigeria is a country that is in dire need of prayer, not just ordinary prayer. This kind of prayer that you hear from Mountain of Fire,
George,
where they pray
George,
fire and brimstone.
leave this issue of prayer.
You know,
The
what
truth
is
of
wrong
the
with
matter,
somebody taking the
the
campaign?
truth of the matter is that
Anyway,
in
Jonathan did that
politics,
in 2014 when he was
in
there for one
politics,
church.
everything is a
And,
weapon.
yeah,
In politics,
yes.
everything is a weapon.
Mm.
Obi has discovered that look, he has a strength
Mm.
in whipping sentiment out of churchgoers, because religion is a highly sentimental thing in Nigeria. Even though you are telling people as life, the fact that you are standing on a pulpit, a lot of people believe, is the absolute truth. So he believes that's his area of strength. So I wonder why his running mate, Dati, has not been visiting the mosques. And that's why we have this balanced representation of candidates, apart from the APC that has this Muslim issue. So that is not an issue. That's his own area of strength. So people will look at their own area of strength as focusing their campaign in the Northwest. Some will look at the South. So that is politics for you. Anything you can deploy, it's like going to war. You deploy every arsenal at your disposal. So that should not be an issue. If the Atiku campaign feels that, look, after all, they have Alokwa who is a Christian, if they have, if they see something there that they'll be able to garner votes by taking their advocacy, their campaigns to the church, why not? It's all about getting more votes. If the Tinubu campaign feels that, look, there will be more gains by visiting malls, marketplaces, and the rest, so be it. This is campaign. There is no restriction. The Electoral Act does not restrict anybody from going to the church. After all, he's a Christian. He went to pay visit. Churches want more people to visit, to come to their services. So there's something wrong with that. That's his own strategy. If it's working for him, so be it.
Well, I mean, in Katsina, yes, I think there was this issue where there have been politicians destroying billboards. Well, that is the last one we're even going to do because time is not on our side. There have been issues of politicians destroying billboards of their opponents and the rest. And in Katsina, it appeared it played out. In the president's home state, I think the state government ruled by governed by the by Masari Bello Masari of the APC. I think they almost stopped the PDP campaign train from campaigning at a venue. And from reports I've just seen showed that it was the president who had to call and direct that they should allow them to. And then Atiku now proceeded to do his campaign that attracted the kind of crowd we wouldn't have expected.
Scary.
It's coming, it's happening in the home state of the president, where ordinarily one would have expected that, oh, our son is a president, his party is in power, and you are coming to tell us to come to accept you against our own. It would have been just like in 2014. If you see the way the Katsina people, especially the young ones, lined up on the street, were stoning. They injured most security people. DSS and the rest sustained injuries from stoning in Katsina. They knew very well that Jonathan was campaigning against their own son in 2014. But what we saw yesterday in Katsina, the thing began to baffle that Atiku went and pulled such weight in the president's own home state. And somebody say it's a reflection of what they should expect in the election. I say sometimes it could not be so. Some of this campaign crowd can just come in just to get themselves busy, people in remote areas. But what is your view about that situation, Chibuzo? Let me just get what you think about it briefly, and then Paul will just add it up, then we'll just go. We'll just have
it's highly
1 minute
condemnable.
to.
It's highly condemnable that in this day and age, state governments will want to deny opposition parties platforms and space to campaign. I think it's highly condemnable. It's also highly condemnable that people will resort to violence as a means of expressing, divergent views and trying to oppress, for another voice, from campaigning. So I think these are things that we can't stop talking about. The INEC and the civil society has been hot on this issue, speaking up against it, urging everybody to abide by the peace accord that was recently signed and all of that. So we can only continue to appeal to all of the stakeholders to ensure that they abide by the provisions of the peace accord one, and even play within the space of rule of law and decorum. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Polo, what do you have to say about the Kano experience yesterday? Katsina, sorry.
It sent two signals. One, that some people within the APC will want to look at the president and say, Mr. President, are you really working for your candidate? And with this development coming from the CBN, the policy redesign of the Naira mode, restriction to is the president not trying to stifle the entire thing to the favor of one particular candidate? Then two, it shows that Katsina has been bedeviled by this issue of insecurity. Perhaps the people are not happy with the government at the center and even at the state level. And that is a way of showing their displeasure.
And that is a stage where the governor had incessantly been calling for self-defense.
Yeah, for self-defense. So it's a way of telling the leadership that we are not happy with what is happening. I think we have an alternative, and this is the alternative.
Well, thank you very much. This is the much we can take for the big issue of the day, and that is how far the candidates have been campaigning. And as they go on break, Nigerians sincerely hope that the 2023 general election will herald a new dawn in electioneering campaigns dominated by issue-based debate. While campaign promises are interrogated and situated within the current economic situations and realities, locally and internationally, in the hope that the best candidate wins to liberate Nigerians from the economic, political, and social morass they are enmeshed in. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.